Hey there, good evening everyone. So glad to have you on the live stream. Welcome as you come into the room. So good to have you. Hi Walter, thanks so much for popping in on LinkedIn. Wherever you are joining the live stream, you can participate in the activities tonight through the comments on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, wherever you're watching us. Feel free to chime in on the live stream. This live stream is every week. It's kind of open house. Pop in, pop out, and it is my paint journey. About 2 years ago, a little under 2 years ago, I started teaching myself to paint using YouTube tutorials. I've been on that journey for the last couple of years, and I've just started going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole. Hey Lola, so glad to have you as always. So good to see you. Hope you are doing well. And as I continue this paint journey, I am excited for you all to join me on the live stream. This is episode 62, so we're a little over a year of consistent episodes, not every week, but almost every week. I've been away for a couple of weeks, so I am glad to be back in the studio, glad to be back with you on the live stream. And tonight is the night. For many, many, many weeks, I have been talking about this. I have been talking about this pile of paintings that I have not completed. These are paintings from previous live streams that we started, but I never got them done. So we're going to take a bite out of that, out of this pile this evening by going back to a painting that we did just a few weeks ago in Spearfish Canyon. That is the painting right behind me here on the easel. We're going to start to do some of the detail work, doing some additional layers. As many of you know, I have been doing... Hi there, Mom. Good to see you, Mom and Dad. From not as close as usual, not up the hill, but kind of cross-country. So glad to have you joining, even if it's briefly. So what I was saying is I paint in acrylic paint. So the paint dries very quickly and it dries kind of dull. So once it dries, it's a little less luminescent than something like oil would be. So in order to get a better finish, a better result, doing many layers and refining the painting can often help that look more like oil. So this will help these paintings no matter what, getting some of the detail work. So we're just going to dive in this evening and see what we can get done on a couple of these paintings. All right, so we have the one on the easel. This is the winter scene on in Spearfish Canyon, right near my house. So I actually made another snafu this evening. I started the live stream. Some of you may have seen notifications. Started it an hour ago thinking that it was 6 o'clock. My time was all messed up. I don't know what the deal was. And then I realized, oh, it's only 5 o'clock. So I reset the live stream, but then I was prepared to paint. So I did do a little bit of work on this. I started refining it, but I'm going to continue to work on that since that's what's on my palette. And we'll see if we can get a little more of this done. If you remember, the challenge for this painting specifically is snow is difficult, at least for me right now, because it's not just putting white dots or white painting on the canvas. In order for the white to show up and to read as snow, it has to have something to react to or to respond to or to show up against. And so that's the game we're going to be playing in refining this painting this evening. In order to do that, I think my ears are popping and we're at altitude or at over 5,000 feet, which is normal, but my ears are kind of acting up, and I think it may be a front, something in the barometric pressure shifting. We're supposed to have major changes in the weather. Spring is not quite here for us. We've had days in the 60s and 70s, but now there is a winter weather advisory for the next couple of days. They were saying 12 to 18 inches. Now it's down to 3 to 6. So I will take it, although I'm ready for some flowers and some leaves on the trees. But that may be what's happening in my ears. that said, let me put up the reference photo we had from a couple weeks ago. This is what we will be painting from as we get going this evening. So let me switch cameras. I am going to switch this camera so you can see my messy attic. I don't care if you all see my messy attic, all the storage. And I'm going to move this camera around so that we have let's see how I need to switch this camera so that you have a good picture. All right. Let me get it set up. That way you all don't get sick. All right. Let me see here. Okay. I think you'll be able to see what I am doing here pretty well. Okay. Sorry about that. Now, we need to flip that, rotate it so that it looks correct. Okay. So there's a little bit, let me turn this, that way it's more direct on. Okay. There we go. I am going to put on my palette here. And then I'm going to stretch that out a little bit just so there we go. Okay. So what we're doing, let me kind of show what we're doing. And what I have been working on. That way you can kind of see what I'm thinking. This is a bit challenging. So you may notice that I have painted another layer of this tree so it's darker, which brings it to the front, or brings these trees kind of out front of the trees behind them. I also went back and put a little bit of a shadow here. It is too dark because it's dried too dark, but I'm trying to really refine the bank line of this little creek, Spearfish Creek, as it comes through the mountains. So that is what I have been working on here, just little by little, trying to really refine this bank line. So I think what I'm going to do is go back in with another layer of the white. I'm mixing pure white with a little of the blue, just so, because there's a little cool tint, and then a little bit of the brown, which warms it up, but that way it is not pure white. Otherwise you don't have any, it all pops to the front. So we're going to go back in here. I started really defining these, and we're just going to do additional layers, which will help us really refine this even more. I'm just going to do additional layers. Getting more We can always go back and add, because our trees back there are covering up pretty much everything, but we'll be able to go back in and add more detail. All right, so this comes down and goes across here. So it goes all the way across the creek there. Let's put some more white on the palette. Again, adding a little tint of brown and a little, just a dot of the blue. Now let's come in and try to make this bank a little more defined. See if we can get a little better results here. I'm doing something exciting in the next several weeks. I ordered a book that I mentioned at the beginning of the year. One of my goals was to increase my ability, like really take a targeted approach to increasing my skill level. And so I've taken the first step towards that. One of the things that I wanted to do was to start doing some master studies of various artists. But I've learned recently that in I think it's called an atelier, it's a French word, but traditional art instruction where you go and study under, a master artist, there is a very specific kind of 4 to 6 stage process that artists go through. And part of that is learning to draw. And so I have purchased a book that there is a kind of a well-respected set of, typically you use model shapes, kind of busts essentially, to increase your skill systematically. But there is a series of plates that this well-known artist created in the probably 1819, early 1900s. I don't know exactly when he was, a Frenchman, that are well respected. And so I bought a set of those, and I'm going to begin working through those to develop my skill systematically. So I'm kind of excited about that, learning what it is I don't know. Obviously, at the beginning, I really, I took much pride in the fact that I got my start on YouTube with YouTube tutorials. And actually, when I learned this through a YouTube video. So not abandoning that at all, because I learned so well through YouTube. But that's just a personal in the way I learn. but I'm going to begin to do some additional study as well. So kind of excited to see if that is successful and how it works and how it does. So that is in the plans. You'll be able to see some of that on. Hey there, Alec. Good to see you. I really enjoyed the painting you're working on. I can't wait to see when it's done. Definitely, I know you'll post it, but I'll see it on Instagram. But you definitely have some real great, I mean, you have a great eye anyway, just naturally. So you have some really great skill. All right, we're getting this bank a little better. Now you'll notice the color layer is much cooler. So there's a much more kind of bluish tone as we come forward, which is good. It will give us you're painting it in a cemetery near your house. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting. Quite the experience. I bet it is. So you're painting it in a cemetery. So like you're painting outside. That is something I want to do but have not done. Do you paint acrylics or are you using oils? And if so, I may have to hit you up for like how you paint outside with acrylics. Oh, I went way too dark. And how you manage your paints and all of that. I was talking and not paying attention, and I put way too much blue in this. Blue brown. You know what I also want to do? I am seeing just a little bit of a green tint in here. And so I am going to grab my Phthalo green, put a little green, yes, a portable easel. I should get one. Okay, sounds good, yeah. Because I do want to go out into the canyon and paint. And so oil acrylics are, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I would have to use oil. I've not used it before, but I really need to dive into that pool as well once I just because, yeah, acrylics dry too quickly, and for transport and stuff it would be really tough. Okay, this is probably going to be way too dark and way too peppermint. Let me put some over here. Well, maybe not. It's hard to tell. Yeah, it is too peppermint, but we can do some of this along the edge of here. It will give us that feeling that the sun is catching that light. Even though it's under the cloudy skies. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna. This dries super green because that's the other thing. Acrylics dry really much darker than they are. So that's why you have to do so many layers. But you can learn a lot. And that's my main goal, is to kind of learn, and then when I go to oils, I have a feeling it will be oils will have their own challenge in, like, when I adjust to oils, just because it's because they don't dry and they'll blend so much easier. Okay, we're going to come up, do another layer along this ridge, just to try to set. So it's very interesting to me how just putting a little bit of this definition in there is causing this rock face to look much brighter. When I started working on this, I almost went straight to the rock face and started adding more browns and yellows to it because I wanted it to pop out more. But now that I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's popping out correctly. It just needs that additional detail work. All right. Little by little, now trying to decide if I want to make major changes. So, I don't know. I don't know if I want to. The thing I'm thinking about is going back up and opening some of this up and making this trees recede back a little ways. My canvas is obviously smaller than the original image, so I can't duplicate it exactly, but I'm wanting to clear up some of this. But I'm also trying to remember this is a reference photo, and so I want to focus on the feeling of that day. It was actually almost a magical day going through the canyon. The snow was just giant flakes, very wet, very, I don't know, you just felt like you walked into Narnia or something. So that's what I'm debating in my head. By mixing some of these the browns and the blues with the white, you get different tints of snow, and then you get it reads as you get the different kind of shadows, so, or highlights in the snow, which is really good. Because our eye looks at snow and says, oh, it's white, but there are all kinds of various gradients in the white that allow us to see and perceive it as different distances and densities, and it's amazing kind of what our eyes can do. So then the question becomes, how do I duplicate that illusion on a two-dimensional canvas in a way that is going to read correctly for the viewer? Those are all the things that are going through my head. As I'm painting. If y'all are interested in my vlog, there is a vlog. I skipped a couple weeks, but there is one live on YouTube today. Might be of interest to this crowd because I took a trip down south and visited the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Northwest Arkansas, and that was quite an interesting experience to go back there after having painted and really look at the art with different eyes and understand a little bit of the process that artists go through. Because no matter what our capability or capacity is, we're essentially all doing the same thing. It's just obviously some of us are a little more skilled than others. I should say they are more skilled than I am at this point. But it was really interesting because it was encouraging to realize, like, even the quote masters or people who are recognized by the establishment are basically doing the same thing or learned the same way I am in some regard. And it literally just comes down to like their ability to manipulate the tools they have. So we all have essentially the same tools. It's just, can you get better and better? Can you constantly be improving on your ability to manipulate tools of light and form and shape and color, value, all those fundamentals. But it definitely was an interesting trip. I wish I could have spent more time there. I also did some digital paintings this week. I was traveling quite consistently. I had work in St. Louis and had some layovers in Denver, and ended up doing a few digital paintings there, just without reference, but I did one that was actually turned out pretty well of sunrise or sunset at Devil's Tower National Monument in Wyoming, near where I live. I mean, it's within 2 hours, I think. So if you're interested in that, that is all on Instagram. All right, let's take a break and look at our, actually, I wonder if I can, okay, I'm going to try something, y'all. Hold on. Let me actually see if I can. There you can, so you can see the whole thing. I'm going to go up here, taking my blotter, I don't know what it's called, a blotter brush. They call it texture, tree and texture series. So I'm going to take this tree and daub in. Oh, thanks, Lola. I appreciate you checking it out. It's definitely a beautiful museum. If you ever get down in that part of the U.S., it's worth the stop. Okay, so these trees were really popping forward because there was so much density. So what I'm actually doing is going in and putting some negative space back in, which is an interesting approach, I think. By daubing the background color back into some of this, it helps it. And by covering up some of this and letting it be seen through, it also gives the perspective that there's snow falling or on these. Because I needed to, actually, this is working really well, because I needed a way to show a differentiation with the line of the line of the border of this cliff and what comes behind it. So, but that's actually working really effectively to give us some. There we go. Isn't that interesting, y'all? Look at that. Just by daubing that on, it still looks like snow-covered trees, but you definitely have a, this is definitely in the midground, foreground, far background, mid-far background. Interesting. What a fascinating technique. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Now, we'll come back because we'll do, I want to try something. Nope, that's too much. I was hoping that, but maybe if I do like that, I was hoping that I could use the same technique for the, oh, maybe we can. The snow that's on the water surface and on the snow that's in the air falling in between. I agree, Alec. Isn't that crazy? That was actually, when I started this a couple of weeks ago, that was the reason I chose this, because it was almost monochromatic. I mean, there's a little brown here and a little fainted green in the reference photo. I mean, you know those are evergreens, but it's not a bright green. And I knew that would be the challenge, is how do I make that far background, the trees in the far background, look like they're really sitting back there. But I love when I learn something or try something and it works. That's just crazy. Opening up this this some more. I don't know. I kind of think I want to actually take some more out. I want to take this, that big branch. I want to put it back in. I can always put the dark spots back in. There. That's really cool. Hey, Bob G, thanks so much. Looking forward to chatting soon, catching up. I am glad to be back as well. I missed everybody, and I missed doing this. It's crazy, because when I started, I didn't know if anybody would ever show up and watch somebody paint, especially learning to paint. But we just did a technique where I put the negative space back into this top part, and then I use the same technique to cover up some of those trees to push them back into the background. So that's really cool. The next thing I want to figure out, but I'm not quite sure how to do it, is there's so much in this creek. If you look at it closely, there's like reflections. There are, of course, the snow dots through, which we kind of got put in there. But I'm trying to figure out exactly. I feel like, I mean, you see the reflection. I put really kind of dark, but I don't know if I just leave the cliff reflection as the dark in there, or if I lighten it up in the actual painting. Obviously, it's a little more, or in the reference photo, it's a little more light because this was the middle of the day. So let's just see what we can do with that. We just have to learn. I mean, we have to try something, and typically it's pretty quick. If you try it and it doesn't work, it's pretty obvious pretty fast. So, all right, I've mixed kind of a dark gray color. Let me see if I can come in. Okay, that's going to be really light. So I don't know. That comes in here. Might actually work back in here. Again, we're going for illusion. So what I'm trying to do here is put some of this lighter gray back in there, because what is happening, so water is difficult to paint only if you don't understand or you don't think about how it reflects to the eye. So what happens if you see a reflection, it's because you're looking straight into the water, and the light is not reflecting off the water. Because if the light is reflecting off the water, you're going to see you're going to see whatever is reflecting. So in this case, it's the reflection of the rock face. Back here, it would be the reflection of the sky. But there are kind of shadows where there are trees or rock face that we don't see in our foreground that are reflected back here. So by giving the illusion just that there's a little bit of a darker spot back there, that creates the kind of 3-dimension and the difference in the water. If the water is absolutely still and there's no reflection, that's when you look straight through water and you can see the stones or the rocks that are underneath the water. So I'm going to do some of this. Not sure how this will all work, but using some of this kind of have to look at what is reflecting. Yeah, because some of this is reflecting in. the snow kind of on the edges. I think some of the blue is a little more, it's a little cooler. Some of these areas, let's lighten it up a little bit. Again, we'll give some variety that will help us. So some of these spots had I think it's too bright, so I don't want to mess it up, what I did, because I think it was working. This will give us some shadow or appearance of shadow up in the background. Then what I'll do when I create these, notice what I'm doing with this, different shades of gray, and then coming in and putting highlights around it. Again, snow needs something, when you're painting snow, it has to have something to react to, or there has to be some contrast. Otherwise, it just all looks like it's in the foreground, and it all looks like it's the same. So by putting some shadow areas and then coming back with some highlight areas, you give that perspective of that there are some differences in the subtle differences in the snow. Thanks, Mr. Davis. Appreciate it. Okay, little by little, then we'll come over here. I think what I want to do now is take a break from the snow so I don't overpaint it. And we'll take a small brush and do a little bit of mix a dark color for the deepest shadows. So we'll take the dark blue and brown and we'll mix kind of that black color, or almost black. That dark, dark, dark gray. Blue and brown. Okay. Thanks so much, sir. I appreciate it. It is fun to paint local areas. Okay, I'm going just around the edges of the snow here to, in the closest part, to try to give the indication of some shadow where the snow kind of hangs over the bank into the, and really what we're giving is an opportunity for the snow to have something to contrast against. It'll look much more white if it's contrasted against a very dark color. And it will look much more three-dimensional if we can do this correctly. So that's the goal. That's the why. Now we'll see how capable I am with executing on this intent. As I go back, I'm mixing just a little more brown into the color, diffusing it just a little. So it's still that dark color, but not quite as stark. We'll see if that works for what we're trying to do. I think it does. This area, I'm going to carve out a little more. To the snow there. It'll look really dark. All right. Bringing this water back in. I don't know that it's actually working, but I'm gonna try it. We're about just now an hour in, so I want to do it's a little blue. I'll have to still come back to this one because I want to fix these trees over here. I also want to fix some of these trees here in the background. I may do the same technique I used because it was so effective up here. I may use that to push some of these trees back further, and then I want to put the underbrush in. But yeah, I think that is good for a second run at this, and it probably needs one more session, but I want to make this a little more interesting. I want to actually switch to another painting because like I said at the beginning, I have piles. I have about 6 or 8. Well, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 paintings sitting here that are not finished. Therefore, let me see what we can do. So these will be ones that you have seen before, but let me find, I think I want to, what about, there's one that we got started that was, I'm going to set this one to the side now, and oh, there's a bunch that are really cool that we got good starts on, but some of them are really big. Let's go. I don't know. Yeah, let's go back to this one. You all may have seen this or remember it, but I really love this painting or how it started to come together. So let me put up the, if I can find it, the there we go. Let me see if I can put the reference up. Is this it? Nope. Nope. There we are. Okay. So let me shrink this on up. Let me put it there in your corner so you can kind of see what we're working with. Remember on this one, we decided to mess with the composition a little bit because we wanted the road going toward the mountain because this is the focal point. This is where our brightest light is going to be. And so we really wanted everything leading toward that peak. And so we wanted the road to come that direction. It does in the reference. Obviously, it's a straight line back, but I think it makes it more visually interesting for us to do that. So actually, what I want to do though first, I think, is mess with this. Actually, I need to put the reference up in front of me, so because you're the one that you see is way too tiny for me. So I wonder if I can turn it this way, and if I can, let's see. I have to turn I could actually show y'all what I'm doing. Actually, I will, so that it's not as boring for you all. So this is what I'm doing. I usually have my reference photo up here, but I want it to be landscape instead of sideways. So let me go into my settings. Maybe. Oh, there they are. And this is off screen, so my displays. Display settings. Why are you showing me two different things? Okay, rotation standard. Then it should rotate us that way. Okay, so then I can go like that, and it's big. Yes, that's perfect. Thank you, Apple. Okay. Now, well, it's not because you guys are sitting kind of at a... There we go. Okay, so back to here. Whoops. Sorry if I'm making everybody ill. Now I have the same reference as you do. I'm going to lock that in. Go back to my software so I can see you all. Okay. So now what I want to do is correct this, the angle of this road a little bit. I think it needs to be a little wider out here and go further back there. So in order to do that, we're going to take a little of this blue. We're going to take a little of the white and our brown again to get us kind of a murky pavement color. Kind of that bluish gray. There we go. That looks very pavement-y, doesn't it? Maybe not on there, but once we get up to the, painting, let's see how it comes. That's going to be much brighter than I want probably, but I can darken it. So I think I want to bring, let's just see if I can get the angle correct on this. I think I want to bring it more out like that. All right, let me step back and take a look. Something still isn't looking right to me. What is it, y'all? Is the bend in the road too sudden? What am I missing? Feels like that's too... Almost like it should be like that. I am not sure why this is not working for me. Maybe it's the... Yes, it's too sudden. So I'm thinking that I actually need to come out here so it's not as wide, so it kind of leads us in this way. So I need to come out a little more with this. Let's try that and see. Let's see. All right, we're going to take the... I think we can take the brown, dark brown, a little bit of green, the blue. I need some more brown. I tell y'all, I don't know why I didn't look earlier, but having my... Let me switch real quick. Having my paints... Let me switch to this camera. Having my paints right there hanging up. I mean, I still have some on the table there. I need another one of these sets. But having them up, I know I complained about that a lot, but it is so nice. So nice. Makes me so happy. Have my paints within reach, but not falling all over the place and not cluttering my main workspace. Now I just need to get more organized with my canvases. So I have a shelf. I need shelf for empty canvases, finished canvases, kind of get my show on the road. I think I need a little more green. This is more... and the dark brown, maybe even the blue. Needs to be dark. I don't know what happened, why this... Maybe it was... there was white in the paint, or in the brush, but it looks like it's not dark enough. Let's go start carving in this. We'll get the colors right eventually. See if... Definitely across here. I don't know. What do y'all have to tell me what you think. That's better. Isn't it crazy? So clearly one of the challenges that I have is perspective. That's one of the limitations of my well, the limitations of my skill at this point. It narrows too abruptly now. Ah! Okay. But we're getting, I think we're getting better than it was, because it was way out here. So, the other thing is maybe we need like some of these trees to come out in this direction. Yeah, I think it comes, I think, Bob, you're right. It narrows too abruptly there. It's too much of a... So let me go back to my... Whoops. Can't do that. My blue, my brown, my white. Get my pavement color. Oh! Oh! You can see why I get piled up with unpainted canvases when I do a new painting every week, and really each one needs at least this much more revision or finishing. Probably each painting, we do about 2 hours each painting. I probably need at least 3 or 4 more hours or more with each of the paintings. Okay, let me try to... There we go. Disappears into... I think we're starting to get there. Taking us back a little more. Gives us a little more time to disappear into the trees. What do you all think? Are we getting there? A little bit, I think. Isn't it crazy how you can just see something's off even if you can't tell what it is or why it's off? I think this needs to come there a little more. Again, it's just these fundamentals. It is literally the perspective, value, shape, form. It literally is these relatively simple building blocks, but not simple to execute. But once you recognize, oh, I am, my perspective is off, then all of a sudden you can see Well, I just need to work on that, right? Well, not quite getting there, but I'm getting closer than I was. Part of me wants to go like this. So I'm going to do it. Turn it sideways. Turning it sideways, I think, is a way to trick your brain into, because you're not looking at the, not trying to paint the road, you're trying to paint the shape. Often, one of the techniques for painting faces is to turn your reference photo upside down and paint the head or the person's face upside down. So there's something in our brains that disconnects. So let's see if that helps us. When we turn it back. Okay, let's see. Well, it is getting it. I may actually have to go at, it's amazing you can look at things all your life like a winding road and not really look at it. But I think it's better than it was. I still think something's going on right here. That isn't quite right, but it's better, in my opinion, than it was. As I tackle this problem, it cracks me up, or it makes me think of when I first started and I was having trouble mixing colors. And I talked about there will be a time when I don't have to think about too much mixing colors, which I'm getting better and better with that. You all have seen I don't really struggle with that as much anymore. And I was like, oh, when I know how to do things, it'll be kind of sad. But then I didn't realize, like, really, ooh, this is really bright, which isn't really what I wanted to do, but we can always darken it. Yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to go over this again darker, because I do want that kind of dark gray. But there's always, what I was saying earlier is there's always something to learn and something you're not good at. So it really is a consistent learning process. Yeah, I don't know why this just looks so weird to me. It just looks way too two-dimensional. I think part of it is because I lightened it up, but part of it is it's just still off. Let me try something else real quick. Even though it's light, I've been trying to, again, let me go. Half of painting, y'all, is trial and error. So let's go here again. And then you do something like on that snow painting. You're like, oh, that works. Well, I thought, oh, I need to be, because I want it to look like it's going out into the distance, but Maybe that's part of it, is it needs to be a little more broad up here. I don't know. I'm just trying that. Can't be any worse. Well, it can, but then we can adjust it. Yeah, Bob said it narrows too abruptly, and it probably narrowed too much. I think we're getting there little by little. Yes, I think we're getting there. I need to raise this up so y'all can see me again. There we go. Took it way too narrow. Yeah, by broadening up here, then we can make it more. There we go. Now we're starting to see it. Hey, Daniel, welcome. So good to see you. Thanks for popping in for a few minutes. I'm trying to fix this road. I realized one of the things that I'm not good at yet is perspective. Or maybe not that I'm not good, but it's something that I need to spend a little more time in refining. But I figured out, I narrowed it too soon, the road, and I took it, oh, that brings it. We'll have to bring those trees back down. But by broadening this neck of the road and bringing it out, I think it definitely makes it better. What do you all think? I think we... The only thing now is, which my thought process on the composition was good, but I don't want people's eye going off the road, so I'm going to have to put some trees probably over that road there, so the dark tree keeps the eye from going off the canvas, but it still leads the viewer into the painting, which is the visual right there. Looks good. I'd drive on it. That's what we're looking for. Would you actually get on this road? There we go. I would love to be here wherever this is. I don't even know where this painting or this photo was taken, but it is a beautiful mountain. Okay, well, I'll darken this. I'll bring these trees down a little bit. So let's see, actually, while I'm here, let me see if I can actually do that. Take some of the brown, bring in the blue. We'll get that dark black that we had, or as close to black as you can get. Okay, then we'll come in here. Let's take put some over here too. There we go. I was very pleased with how... Are those mountains South Dakota? I don't believe so. We don't usually have peaks like that up here. Even though we have the altitude, we don't have kind of the Rocky Mountain. We don't have the 10,000, 14,000 foot mountains that are indicative of kind of the Colorado Rockies. So I got this image from a Facebook group I belong to that allows painters to use photographers allow painters to use their photo for reference. This one we were just working on before you came in, Daniel. This winter scene, this is in South Dakota. This is just a few miles from my house in Spearfish Canyon. Was a winter scene that we were working on. This live stream, Daniel, we are catching up with all the paintings. Well, not all, but some of the paintings I've done in the past and trying to finish them. This one was one we started. This is also Spearfish Canyon, of course, in the fall that needs to be done. I have about 7 paintings sitting here that are all in various states of completion. And yeah, so that is kind of what we're working on, because we do a different one every week, and then they pile up, and I don't often have the time to go back and get them all done over the week. I need to just schedule studio time. Now that I got the iPad and do painting, the digital painting, that's also easy. It's easy to I'm putting the suggestion of some of these ridges, the snow on some of these ridges. To do that, I mixed a little brown and white so that I have kind of a grayish color, but against that tan, it renders as white. So we'll try to put some of these in here. And we have this mountain come here. There's a ledge right here where a lot of this snow sits. I need to actually gray this down quite a bit so I have more brown and a little blue, because it's in the shadow. We want to show that it is. I live in LA. I know all about touch-ups and facelifts. Touche, touche. Maybe you should be here doing the painting. That's funny. That was very humorous, Mr. Contreras. Okay, and over here there's funny. Look how dark brown this is on the palette, but how light it looks up here as far as the paint or the snow. Just a few marks can make something look so much more, just can make it look like it's oh, that's too bright for that value. But we might be able to bring it up in here. Yes, I think we can. I think we can. Yep. By mixing a little blue, this is kind of a cooler gray. So all of a sudden, then next to the warmer gray or warmer brown, then you look like you have some shadows there in the mountains. It gives you that feeling of crevices in the rock without painting every crevice. One or two. That's the thing I mentioned on I mentioned the vlog that I posted where I went to the art museum, and that's something that really struck out with me, to me, about, you know, artists who are really gifted or, you know, have just built their skill, is that they can relatively few strokes, and all of a sudden you see from where we started, all of a sudden now this mountain is popping, the crevices of this mountain are really starting to pop out more. That's not going to work. Let me... Okay. I want to take kind of a really dark blue-gray. I actually need to take some of this. Okay, now I want to mix darker. Hey there, Michael. Thanks for joining. Yeah, landscapes tend to be my thing too so far, but I really I am looking forward to honing my craft a little better. And diving a little deeper. So I'm mixing dark color, a darker kind of black, because I want kind of maximum contrast on these mountains. often as painters, especially a newbie like me, one of the challenges is going even further with the contrast than I think, because I'm trying to paint what the image of the photograph sees, as opposed to really enhancing the lights and darks against each other, which is really important. Because you can always brighten something up. And that's the problem usually. Don't go dark enough with the darks. And so that's really the challenge here. I really want to carve out the shadows so that the light can really stand out against it. So that's why I'm kind of going in aggressively now with probably too dark, but it definitely will stand out then. If you get your shadows right, then it's not as hard to get your highlights in. The challenge with this one now is there's a mountain right here that's kind of in the middle, and I am laying that all in roughly the same value. So, and it's not. It's going to have to be lighter, but for right now, again, because the tendency is to go lighter, we're going to go really dark all the way around. So this one comes up like right into there. All that shadow. There's some subtle little, but most all of this is shadow. It's just a diffused shadow. But we'll take a little there. Just a little bit. We're about to the end of our time together, but I want to spend just a little bit more time here. Maybe ruining this, but fortunately it's acrylic, so I can always come back and fix it or repair it or make it better. And I will definitely want to lighten those shadows up because right now, because I've put it on so much, they're popping to the foreground. I've taken them so dark, but like I said, it's always going to be easier to make them lighter than to darken them. All right, well, we definitely have more crevices, more realistic crevice. I do think once I darken this so it's not so bright, it'll be more like the reference photo where it'll be kind of a dark gray. I think that will be a good addition, and that will make this really pop, and that will be the bright part of the sky, or of the painting. It'll draw the painting, the viewer into the painting. So we'll keep working on that. Am I going to pave the road? I'm going to, yes. Well, I want to darken the pavement so that it's more of a dark blue-gray, and then I'm not sure if I am brave enough to do a yellow line like the reference photo. We'll see. I don't think it's necessary if I take this dark enough. But I'm going to take some dark trees up here, again, to kind of frame this. I'll probably take some of these trees up a little ways and do some more detail. The sky's pretty good because it keeps that dark and light, but I may put some additional details in the clouds really to draw the eye right there to that top mountain. It's already coming together, so I feel like the composition is already there. Let me switch you all over to this so that you can not be sick when I move my cameras around. All right. But I am grateful for all of you spending this time with me. Let me switch my camera. Whoop. There we go. I'll flip it around. See. Then I can there we go. I think I need to do this too. All right, so I want to say thank you for joining me. It has been, I'm quitting a little early. My time was running and I was paying attention and wrapped it up faster than expected. So I want to thank you for joining me. We are back on our regular schedule. I'm going to keep working on these paintings, try to get them all, or many of them, finished. You can follow all of that on Instagram, as most of you know. You can also see my digital paintings. I did the digital painting of Devil's Tower National Monument here in western Wyoming, or eastern Wyoming, just across the border a little ways. I did a digital painting of that, so you can check that out on Instagram. I'm going to keep working, as I said, on these paintings, try to get some of these wrapped up, but we will continue our normal weekly paint party live streams. April got crazy for me with travel. I will also be traveling at the end of the month, so I think Monday is the 25th, but whatever is around like 24th, 25th, somewhere in there, I will probably miss that live stream because I'll be traveling that week as well. But that should be the only one I'll miss for the foreseeable future, unless something comes up. I will be traveling in May again, going back to graduation at the school I taught. So I'll just keep you posted. But for now, we are back on schedule. It's so great to be with you as always. I think that's it for me. I hope you all have a great evening, a great rest of your week. I hope that you don't get the snow we're supposed to get. And if you do, I hope you find a way to stay warm and enjoy it one way or another. I hope this is our last one for the winter, but we will see. We will take all the moisture we can get heading into forest fire season. So can't complain too loudly. We want to take all the moisture we can get. All right. It's been great seeing you and being back with you, and I will see you all next week on the live stream, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, Monday evening. Have a great week, everybody.